Alrighty. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Hello, hello. Got a big day ahead of us. Well, technically it's towards like the end of the day right now. I spent so much time like editing and stuff, which I'm terrible at. So it took a lot longer than it should have. But I've just been doing some design work behind the scenes. And today's the big day. This is when we start revamping combat. We have like the basic fundamentals of how combat works, how spells are created, damage, how effects are applied, all of that. The biggest thing that we're going to be focusing on in this type of redesign is not how spells are cast necessarily, or like how damage is applied. We're going to be focusing on adding in some mechanics for spell casting that give players reaction time. So we're going to have like very slight delays, or we're going to change some things to projectile based, which will give opposing players counterplay. One thing we're also going to look into is adding a type of like roll functionality. So like you can dodge abilities if you time the roll correctly, and we'll see how that feels. Nothing set in stone. It's pretty much just prototyping it. And then seeing what happens. So with that being said, we should probably use a new map just to test all this out. We'll just call it combat test area. Let's grab some player starts here. We're going to be using AI in this as well, mainly due to the fact that I'm not going to be able to control like attacks and everything like that. I'm going to need like AI to assist me by trying to attack me, so I can test out like our roll functionality and like other defensive mechanics. So yeah, there's a couple things that we need to set on this map so everything works or emulates how it's going to work in the actual game. I just gotta remember what things we are adding into this. So I'm gonna close all this out and just open up our player state, because I believe there's a couple of crucial things we need. This is one of them here, actually. So our character can only use abilities while it's in something called an arena game mode. What I could actually do, I could probably change this. I might switch up our debugs real quick and have our debug allow us to change the state on our character so we can use abilities. Or I just might add a secondary game mode to this. So like, we have this like arena game mode thing here. I might be able to add a second one. Or I can add probably like a debug boolean here. Let's go to the bottom to do that. This should be an else if here. Should work just fine. The player state should be created before our character is. I'm just gonna put a log here. Just reminding myself that if we don't have either of these things enabled, we won't have access to abilities. And this is called in the invoker state begin play. Alright, for game modes, we probably need to create a new one just for testing purposes here. I might use a pre-existing one. Let me just see which one our main map is using, or our lobby map rather. I think it's using this one or this. Okay, it's using a lobby game mode, and then our test area is using invoker game mode. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, I never actually ticked the I never took that debug function we just made. But that's a player controller. God damn it. Wrong one. Where's my player state? Here you are. Okay. Now if we take that true and we assign that. Ooh. Gotta make a different one. Do not want to mess with the original one here. Where are you? Set that back. Player controller, combat test. Combat test. Got it. Okay. Set that there. Okay. Whoops. Alright, what happened here? Attribute set 35. So something just didn't get copied correctly, or changing that U property with the game open didn't sit well. Player state, what is that? Player state 833. Interesting. It said attribute set was null. I don't believe it. I think it's lying to me. Since we're mainly going to be testing our combat, I think I'm going to change my editor to not open to our lobby anymore. It's default level. Guess not. Default map. Huh. I swear it was like default level or something. Oh, editor preferences. Okay. It's been a long day. Here it is. Editor startup will be our combat test area. The game's default map is going to be our initial menu. Let's get out of here. Okay. World settings, combat test, yup, character, HUD, player controller. Okay. Huh. Oh, same error. Why is that? Attribute set 35. I'm gonna try starting this up. I gotta go into the player state that we copied and see if there's just some values that aren't set in there. Because that's a really weird error. Losing over game mode again. Switch it over to this. Yeah, so I mean, like, this grabs everything correctly. It just has it to the point where it just sets that we're not in game. So if that's the case, I am going to change this just for right now though, and then I'm going to change it back. I just want to gain access to our abilities and see if they work. Yeah, like, okay. Yeah. So it works. Alright, so there's going to be a couple things that we're going to be focusing on. Mainly, I mean, this is actually completely the problem. So when I have an ability, right, select it from the radial menu, it just instantly drops. No delay, there's no animation or like anything besides like you see the character do its like cast. That's really bad. That's going to get completely changed at this point. Like, we have abilities that are like direct target, like this one. It's where you can see where it's like highlighting somebody. Like, that type of ability is okay because it's a very low range and it has like a build up for it to actually take effect. But anything like this where it's like an AoE, I'm going to be changing these to projectiles. So there's like a visual indicator that something is going to happen and it gives the player a chance to react accordingly, which is really important. So pretty much it's coming up with a plan on how to convert everything we have to that system without disrupting it too much. We really want this to be a very easy transfer of power, so to speak. Mainly because if I have to like redo all the values for every ability and like add their damage, the amount of times that they tick damage, like all that stuff, and like how they expand and everything, I'm gonna go crazy. Quite literally. That's like 100 abilities or something that I would have to change again. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, my initial plan going into this is I have some things already written for projectiles, and I think I'm just going to take some of the code and move it over to this class here, which is pretty much the root class of all those problem abilities. These spawn casted abilities are the ones that actually put those like meshes and or collision boxes on the ground that expand and everything. So if we have to modify anything, it's going to be this stemming down to this, the base spell. I do have a couple functions in here called like delay activation and everything like that. So I may use these. But I definitely want to try and convert them to projectile. Or at least the majority of them. Alright. I'm just going to collapse all the functions here so I can get like an overview. It's been probably about like a month or two since I've been in this file itself. So I'm just trying to see the order of how this happens. And then we'll kind of splice in our code at that point. Okay. So if I remember correctly, the activate spell class here is actually where a lot of the action happens. There's two ways to do this that I'm thinking about, right? We have the pre-built option of delaying the activation of a spell, right? So like you'll get an indicator on the ground showing this spell is going to happen in like 2 seconds or something, right? We could just use that, and then we could have a Niagara projectile spawn from the opposing player's hand and go to that position and make it seem like they're shooting something and it's like activating. The other way to do it is actually make the projectile and it has to be launched, it lands and then activates. If we were to go with option 1, where we just use kind of like a fake projectile with like Niagara, it's going to feel terrible for players when they see that projectile fly through like a wall or something they put up, because the wall that they created came after the fact that that indicator was put down. So I think doing the conversion to an actual projectile is the best method. And just to kind of show you what I mean, like, if somebody put down, let's just say like this ability right here was a delayed activation, right? If you put a wall down after someone like activate that ability, and that fake projectile flies through this wall, and it's like the ability still goes off, I don't think it would be good. Decisions. These are the tough choices that you really have to make, because this kind of pivot is something that is going to be a staple of the game. And if you if you fuck up and make this feel bad to play, or this aspect of it, it just leaves a sour taste for the rest of the game itself. Yeah, so it's going to be projectiles, or we're just going to change it to projectile then. What I'm going to do to try to make this a very seamless experience is all these variables and functions here, I'm pretty much going to move over all of this stuff and integrate it into the base class here. And I'm just going to try to fool Unreal Engine to thinking that this base class was a projectile all along, so I don't have to go in and reset all the variables on all the spells I've created so far. Because the Lord Almighty, that would be the biggest pain in the ass. So let's do this like a surgeon. If a surgeon was severely underpaid for their work. Impact delayed. What in the fuck did I make that for? What are you? Oh, okay. Is this for like, if the projectile flies off the map, it doesn't keep going forever type deal? No, that looks like for... Oh, like a bouncing type of spell? So like if a rock bounces on the ground or like rolls or something? I mean, we're just gonna keep it, I don't really care. Alright. Not that. This is what we need. Slowly but surely. Now, how bad is this going to fuck up my spell class? Yes. That's how bad. Yeah, we have a spline component in here too. Okay, I mean, it's not all bad. I think we already have on hit and on begin overlap in the base function. I think we might be just overriding these here. Only add impulse and destroy projectile if we hit a physics object. Oh, so like geometry, like a wall or something. Got it. Alright, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just gonna copy and paste like a majority of this shit. Because it pretty much all needs to go. This is gonna be how it works. And we'll sort through what we do and don't need once it's over here. Set display model at impact point. Yeah, and here's our overlaps that we have. Oh, I know what this is. This is for, we have AoE abilities, and if an enemy is like inside of an AoE ability and getting damaged by it, this actually highlights them for us. So we can see that they are indeed getting damaged. This on hit function that we have right here, I think this is from a long time ago. I can't remember exactly why we had this. On component hit, event called when a component hits or is hit by something solid. And this is on the collision comp. Oh, I think this is, I did this because if the player got directly hit by the projectile, it wasn't triggering our function, but I think I solved that before, so we're going to just cut this out real quick. And if it becomes a problem, we'll just add it back in. Projectile movement. Yep. That is going to be something we put down here. These also need to be updated. I must have wrote this, or grabbed this code from a class that was from a long time ago. Whoops. Definitely don't want to delete that. Okay. Got it. What we're going to do here is close out of the editor, and for this base projectile spell, we're going to get rid of a majority of this stuff. So yeah, this is also going to go here then. Use spline component. Okay, let's add that in. It's probably under components, I'm assuming. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Spawn trail system. Now this is where the real fun begins. When you're doing this kind of surgery, you're going to get a lot of errors. mainly from the donor class. Let's just call it that. So, goodbye to all that shit. Thank you and have a nice day. What do we got here? Override function of on begin overlap. No, this isn't calling override, is it? No. Okay. What are you doing? On begin overlap. Apply overlap event. That's fine. So what we're gonna do for you then is just call override here, and then get rid of this U function on top of it, since it technically now is something that we inherit. What else we got? B at radial impulse is cannot be defined as it is already defined in a base spell. Shadowing is not allowed. So which ones do we need? Radial impulse, impulse strength. So all of these impulse settings then, yeah. Besides B add radial impulse connect allies. And B add radial impulse to players. Alright, here we go. More fun. Unreal spells, base spell. Set display model impact point. Oh, yeah, okay. The whole goal for tonight is just to get this class kind of maneuvered in a way to when we start this tomorrow we can easily just pick up where we left off. Okay, we already have a begin play function. Yep. Let's go to that then. And we already have a set model. I'm just looking at this right here to see what we're moving. Activate spell. It's not viable. Oh, we already have activate spell here, don't we? Yes, right here. Alright, we're getting closer. go. What's this? This one is getting canned. We do that. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to get completely cleaned up. We're going to make it a little bit less clunky. I also have some performance optimizations I want to do for the networking part of this. But that'll be way after we get all this done. That has to do with the gameplay abilities themselves. Alright, fingers crossed I don't have to reset all the variables on every ability. Please, for the love of God. Moment of truth. Ability system. Abilities. Not base spells. Pyromancy. Cast Fireball. Thank God. It looks like it still has its stuff. Awesome. Alright, all my apps just closed. Now some of these are going to be pretty interesting. Trying to convert them all over. I was like thinking about adding a feature where you can right click to pre-detonate these abilities and have them like start early. So you could like kind of do some cheeky stuff of like hitting people behind walls if you shoot the ability next to them and they're standing behind it and then activating it by right clicking. But I think that might be a bit too much. After moving all that over, I'm just thinking of like what abilities are going to be affected right now that we have to account for when making any further changes, because what I want to have happen now is when this projectile hits the ground, I want it to activate, you know? So I might turn this into... No, I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I was thinking, okay, do I add a different mesh for the projectile itself? So the spell looks like something different, and then when it lands, it actually expands into the spell it's supposed to be. But I think what I can do instead is set the trail system that it's making, which is, for instance, the fire that is coming out of the fireball when it's flying through the air. I could set that to be a Niagara system that represents like the actual projectile itself. So that might be the best way to handle that. So I won't have to just create like a bunch of these spell meshes. Let's look at our like AoE base spell class that we have here. Yeah, the supply overlap event. Okay. We're gonna have to create a boolean here to keep track of like if this ability hit the ground or not, and if it did, then we should activate like the actual spell, so like the AoE effect or anything like that. So we should probably name this. Making some notes to myself there. Delayed activation was the old way of doing this. So if there's no delayed activation, actually, this will never be triggered. We're probably going to have to get rid of the delayed activation thing, since we're moving to this this type of model. I'll actually put this not commented, and what I'll do is I'm going to leave a log here, right? So if any ability tries to go through this boolean here, we will know to take it off that system. This is going to happen on begin play. Alright, now activate spell. On begin model overlap, on end. Okay, so this is when you are first like aiming the ability, not when it actually is hitting something. That's what this looks like. This begin overlap is where we need to put this function. at this point. So I have a very decent like base way of starting these. If I go into my AoE base spell, you can see here I have this like if statement right there checking this. There's a couple things that we want to like wean out when we're doing this. One is the owner of the ability. We don't want this to like hit the model of the owner's hand and then just activate the ability. That's very bad. So we're going to add that condition into this. Activate spell. Let's see here, it won't spawn. I think that's the best way to describe it. This activate hit thing is probably going to get moved somewhere else. I think the first thing we want to check here, though, is this activate spell should only be called once. And we actually have that right there. Sweet. So if this spell was activated, it won't do this on a begin overlap. What it will do, though, let's move this out of this. It'll do this activate hit if the spell has been activated. There's a lot of like nuances to this though, because I do have certain abilities that won't be going off of the system, but they have other ways of allowing player reaction when they're cast. So I may have to go make a chart. God, this is gonna be terrible. We're gonna have to probably go make a chart on which abilities will be going off of this new system, so I can have all of the information in front of me when I am managing this class. I want to make sure I'm covering all bases on this, and that I essentially will be able to create a really good foundation for future spells off of this new system. So the stream wasn't as long today, mainly because I got started super late from like doing editing and stuff. But I will be back. I said that super weird. I will be back early tomorrow, and I should have everything ready to get this going. So with that being said, I will be calling it for right now, but I'll be back tomorrow morning. You guys take care, have a great evening, morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are, and see you next time.